Happy New Year. Happy 2025. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, where did the last year go? But where did the last year go? I feel like I just set up my camera and filmed that sob vlog that started off 2024 with me recapping what happened and why I was in the hospital. And now here we are again. This time, not sad, not in excruciating pain, not just released from the hospital. My Christmas tree is already down, which is already a head start from last year because I think my tree came down at the end of January last year. But either way, it is 8:03 a.m. As you can see, already up, already dressed, already ready, already have breakfast made. My son is in the other room eating his breakfast, watching a show because he told me he wanted to be left alone. Yes, we have entered that stage of 3-year-old. I've heard it's called three-nager for a reason, and he has opinions, lots of them, many of them, and I'm doing my best to honor those, and that's okay. He wants to be left alone. You know what? I like to be left alone in the morning too. It's fine. He wants to be alone, so that means I get to be alone. Minus this guy, of course, because he's never very far away. We are in my office. We are doing something very exciting. At least I think it's exciting. I am vlogging every single day in January. And there's a lot of reasons that I'm doing this. The biggest one is because it's just an opportunity for me to kind of get some things back in focus. I lost sight of a lot of things that make Joey in 2024. We won't go into details, but 2024 was excruciating for me in many ways. And I just kind of want to get back to basics. And I tend to, probably not unlike many of you, because if you're here, you probably relate to me in some way, which I love that. And hi, I'm so glad you're here. Let's be friends. But I tend to put everyone and everything before myself. And as a mom, we do that. And we're happy to do it. It's what we do. But we can't full-blown neglect ourselves and expect to still be okay. And I ended 2024 very much not okay. And so starting in like mid-October, I started to get this idea about possibly vlogging every day in January. And I don't know why, but I feel like that takes a lot of courage, which I feel like I'm a little bit out of at the moment. I don't feel very brave. I don't feel very courageous. In fact, my friend said something to me yesterday that, nope, we don't cry on January 1st, because if we cry on January 1, we cry all year long. We'll get into that in a minute. But she said something to me yesterday that was a compliment, but also forced me to kind of zoom out and reflect a little bit on showing up real and vulnerable. And I know she meant it as a compliment, and I understand the point of what she was saying. We'll get to what she said. She said that she never thinks of me as somebody who struggles because I come across very confident and self-assured in everything that I'm doing, which I really appreciate because that's not an easy thing to accomplish. But it's also really important to me that I have to be self-assured and I have to be confident in what I'm doing because that's the only choice I have a lot of times. And reality is that's the only choice many of us have. But just because you carry it well doesn't mean it's not hard. And it just kind of shattered a reality that I have for myself where I don't ever want it to come across like these hard things aren't hard. Like everything we went through with my son last year and the year before, hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's one of those things, and I don't know if maybe you approach these things the same way, where you just kind of like keep your head down and not to rip off Frozen 2, but like you just kind of keep doing the next right thing. And so you don't even really give yourself the opportunity to process anything because you don't have time to process it. Like you just have to get through it. Like you just have to get to the other side of it. I often think of that quote, that's like the only way to the other side of something is through it. And maybe that's a healthy thing because if you allow yourself to go through it and not like skirt around the edge of it, then you're processing it as you're going through it. You're feeling all of the emotions, you're doing all of the things, but I'm not often doing those things out loud. And that's not really what the point of vlogging every day in January is, but it is part of the point because I neglected myself a lot last year. I also have been neglecting myself for a while. And I often put my needs and my dreams and my goals on the back burner in order to serve everything and anything else. And not to say that I won't be serving those things still, because those things still bring me joy. We are making it a point to be kind to ourselves this year. And so if that is something that you also want to do, if you want to make being kind to yourself a priority, if you want to start treating yourself like you would treat a friend a priority this year, then hang out with me this month. This is gonna be super cash, super laid back. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that we just show up very real here. So there is not going to be a lot of production quality to these vlogs, but there will be a lot of vulnerability and realness. And I've got a lot of content planned out for this month that are things that I would wanna watch. And so I'm hoping if you're like me, you might also wanna watch it. So that's kind of why we're vlogging every day in January. It's just to kind of keep myself accountable to this intention that I have for the year. That being said, right now we're, like I said, in my office, and I wanna make a list of things that I want to do more of in 2025. And I am not a very superstitious person. At least I don't think I've ever been a superstitious person. But 2024 was so bad that I'm not taking my chances, okay? Like, I am risking nothing. And I actually had it on my to-do list to clean my house today because yesterday I took down Christmas and did all of that kind of stuff. And I saw a TikTok that was like, here are several things you shouldn't do on the 1st of January if you are a superstitious person. And it was like, don't do laundry and don't clean your house, because essentially it's like you're washing away your good fortune and luck for the year. I ain't risking that. And so you know me, I am usually in bed by I'm usually asleep by 9 o'clock at night. Okay, your girlfriend was still cleaning the house at 10 p.m. last night because I wasn't risking it. I wasn't risking it. And I knew I couldn't get through today without a clean house. So I stayed up late last night and cleaned my house and took it off my to-do list for today because I'm not playing around, okay? That being said, if you think about all the things you're not supposed to do on the 1st of the year, which also include not washing your hair. So it was supposed to be hair wash day. This is why we are left with this, because we are on day 5, I think, and I'll just wash my hair tomorrow. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I wanted to go in that same vein and think about all of the things I want to do more of in 2025. And I read a tweet from Sarah Dessen, golly, it had to have been like 20 years ago at this point, that said, what you do on January 1st, you do all year long, which is also why we're not crying today, okay? We're not crying today. There are other things I want to do this year. And so I thought, what a fun way to start this whole adventure than to think about the things I want to do more of this year and then make it a point to do them this year. So I'm gonna eat some breakfast really quickly because it's literally just sitting here getting cold. And then we'll meet back here with my handy dandy Notion and write out a list of things that we want to do in 2025. But while I'm eating, which it's gonna be a split second, but you can go ahead and pause this video, maybe grab a notebook, or if you also use Notion, pull up your little template and jot down a few things that you want to do more of this year. I realize this video is going live on the 2nd, so you don't really have the opportunity to do it on the 1st, but it's never too late to have a fresh start. So you can decide at any point to just begin again. So if you want to declare the 2nd or the 3rd or the 6th or whatever day of this month is your new start, then go ahead and jot down your list, make it a point to do those things on that day, and just give yourself that gift of like making those things a priority for the year. So I'm gonna eat and we'll be back in a minute. So I just created in my, I'm gonna show you my, okay, I'm just gonna show you my Notion for a second. So I have this homepage. I'll go through like and do a tour of my Notion at some point, but I'm gonna navigate over to my Life Hub, and I have a tab here for 2025 vision. So these are the things that I want to do more of in 2025. And while I could go for like the standard, drink more water, you know, blah, lose weight, be more active, all that kind of stuff, I wanted to focus on specifics that I could actually not just accomplish, but that the individual thing would actually bring me joy. Because the whole point of all of this is to experience a little bit more joy in my regular day-to-day life this year. So first of all, being walking. And I don't mean like putting on my active wear and like going out for a 6-mile walk. I just mean more of like when given the opportunity or the chance to choose to walk. So we're talking like when you're looking for a parking space, finding a parking space that maybe makes you walk a little bit further into the store. I'm talking about when given the choice to, for instance, like I have a neighbor that lives close enough by, but far enough away that I could walk, but I could also drive. I want to make the choice to walk when it's reasonable to do so. But really the main point of that for me is that I want to spend more time not rushing around and not always just taking the quickest route, and giving, like by walking, you kind of just give yourself that dead space in your brain, white space, blank space. And yes, sometimes we can fill it with music or a podcast or an audiobook, but sometimes that's the point also, is just to make more room for those types of things. Additionally, I also just want to spend more time walking. So if I'm watching a TV show, partnering that with my walking pad, or when I'm doing admin work, partnering it with my walking pad. I've discovered towards the end of last year that I just feel better in general when my body is moving. And again, if you watched my video from last year, I was dealing with severe back pain at the start of last year, and I can attest that walking and walking alone is the number one thing that has brought me to the place I'm at now, where I can move around pain-free most of the time. Something else I want to do more of this year is spend time with friends, which I feel like is kind of self-explanatory, but we're busy, we have kids, we live far away from everyone and everything, and life just kind of gets in the way, and I don't want that to be allowed anymore. I want to put things on my calendar. I want to intentionally spend time with friends, which kind of goes hand in hand with something that I didn't write down here, but is very much a goal for this year, is I want to spend more time laughing. I don't know that I spent very much time, you know what I'm talking about, when like something just tickles you so deep when you're with your friends and you get that uncontrollable laughter that like, it's not even really that funny, but because of the circumstances surrounding everything, you kind of get in that place where you can't breathe because you're laughing so hard. I want to do more of that this year. Additionally, and this kind of goes without saying, I want to spend more time writing. You guys know that I shelved my manuscript last year when everything started to go really south with my son's development and all of that kind of stuff. And so I was supposed to have a book coming out in February of this year, and I no longer have a book coming out in February of this year because I chose to shelve the project to just make everything else a priority last year, which is what was necessary. And I'm glad to have done it because I didn't want to have my focus be that split. But I want to finish that book, which at some point during the next 30 days, we'll map out a plan to make that happen. But just writing in general, whether it's journaling or blogging or freelance writing, I just want to spend more time at my keyboard, headphones in, really grooving and writing out the words. Additionally, I want to spend more time practicing gratitude, which I mean, in and of itself will definitely make me feel better, but I also want it to be something that forces me, kind of like the walking thing, to just stop and slow down a little bit. I am the kind of person that like when I make a to-do list, I'm just like trying to zip through it as fast as I can and check things off, which is great and super productive. However, things that require me to slow down a little bit, which like meditating could probably be on this list. Practicing gratitude, I tend to kind of rush through, and I want to actually spend time practicing gratitude and not just writing a list of things that I'm grateful for. I want to actually spend time feeling the gratitude for the things that I'm grateful for. This is a weird one on the list, but sharing is something that I want to do more of this year. Honestly, this could probably be rewritten as like showing up, but I like to share, and I have spent a lot of my life being made to feel like that is wrong, or that it's not a quality that is admirable, or like that it's a bad thing. Like that it's a bad thing. But if I'm sharing, then that means I'm offering the opportunity for connection to somebody else. And I want that to kind of be more of my focus with my desire to share. Because I've always had the desire to be online, whether it's not necessarily online, but like to share. I've always had the desire to share. I am a professional yapper. I will talk to anybody, as you guys probably know if you've been watching my videos. I love to write and like share on my blog. But again, I've always kind of held myself back from really allowing myself to show up in that way, because I have this veil over it that makes me feel like for some reason that's wrong. And what the heck is wrong with that? I can tell you right now that there are some content creators that if they stopped sharing or never started to share, my life would look very different. And I have it on my heart to share. And so I'm just gonna let that be okay. Like, I just want that to be all right. Like, I want it to be something that I lean into without somebody or something making it wrong. So I wanna share more, which is also part of the reason we're vlogging every day in January. Okay, the next thing I wanna do more of this year is just read. And I'm not even talking like professional development books or anything that's gonna enrich my mind in any certain type of way. I just wanna spend more time reading. It's something I enjoy doing, and yet again, it's also something that requires you to slow down a little bit. Are you noticing there's a trend? I didn't realize that until just now as we're going through this list. But I guess part of my mission for this year is to just slow things down a little bit and actually take up the space to enjoy the things that I like to do and that are things that matter to me. So I just want to do more reading. Like right now, I'm reading another Frida McFadden book, which if you haven't read any of her books, they're good. At some point this month, we'll talk about some books that I've been loving or loved and like can't stop thinking about. So stay tuned if that's something that is interesting to you. This kind of goes along with just making myself a bit more of a priority, but I want to keep the promises to myself. I used to be really good about that. I used to be actually so good at that that it was almost maybe a flaw, because I would like overpromise to myself and then I wouldn't let myself down. And so then I was burning myself out. So like, we're gonna approach this with some balance. But for instance, like when my alarm went off this morning, I really didn't want to get up. And I used to be the person that never, ever, ever snoozed my alarm, ever. And then I became the kind of person that didn't just start snoozing my alarm, I just stopped setting it altogether. Because I was like, why am I even gonna bother? I'm not gonna honor it anyway. So I like thought long and hard last night when I was going in bed. I was like, okay, my alarm's gonna go off at 5 a.m. Am I really gonna be able to do this? Because again, I went to bed a little bit later than I normally do. And I didn't want to start this year by immediately breaking a promise I was making to myself, but I did. I got up, the alarm went off, I got up, and it was lovely because my son's been waking up so much earlier right now. We'll get into that at some point, that like my kid went from like sleeping till 8:30 in the morning to like clockwork waking up at like 6:15, which for somebody that generally does a lot of my work early in the morning, so I have that protected time to get my job done, that's been a problem. So if you have any tips for that, let me know. And then the last thing, and this is just kind of silly, but it's something I enjoy. And again, it's something that makes you slow down, whether it's because you're cooking it or you're planning an opportunity to go and experience it. I want to eat good food. So that is a list of things I want to do more of this year. And also a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, why is my brain hurting? Outlandish, ambitious. Oh my God, my brain hurts. It's also a slightly ambitious thing to try to accomplish all of those things today. But you know what? Hold on. We can go ahead and cross off sharing, because we are currently sharing at this moment, doing this vlog. We'll be sharing. and keeping promises to myself. I can go ahead and cross that list off for today because I promised myself I'd wake up with my alarm, and I did. So those are 2 things that I've already done today. The next few things we need to get done, changing the language. The next few things I'd like to do today are go for a walk, spend time with friends, write, practice gratitude, read, and eat good food, which sounds like a pretty stellar day to me. So let's get to it. Hello. It has been a good day so far. I am very glad that I made that list because it just has kind of kept things very front of mind. I am very quickly throw some stuff in a pot for vegetable soup. You see my little smudgy. Is that better? That might be better. I'm gonna throw some stuff in a pot for some vegetable soup so we can have veggie soup and grilled cheese for dinner. You might hear my dog losing her mind outside. She's fine. I just need a second from her because I got home and found she had gone through the trash again. She'll be 15 in May. No, April. She'll be 15 in April. And we are having so many issues with her, like just regressing. I think I'm gonna have to start putting her back in a crate when we leave, which is just heartbreaking because she's been out of a crate since she was a puppy. But I can't have my house half destroyed every time I come home. And I just had to spend like the last 30 minutes cleaning up after she went through my trash, which there's no time that I regret being a coffee drinker more than when there are coffee grounds strewn all over my very newly cleaned floor, which I just cleaned everything yesterday. So that was disappointing, but let's make some dinner. I'm very hungry, so I might also eat a snack while I'm making dinner. Does anybody else do that? But let's go ahead and make that happen. All right, while the soup simmers for a little while, I'm going to do my favorite thing on that list, which is write for a little bit. Apparently I'm gonna have a buddy in my lap. I'm eating homemade roasted Chex Mix. That's not very good. It's actually the first time I've eaten it. I made it for the holidays and I served it to people and they ate it and I sent it home with people. No, it's not very good. I definitely should have tasted it while I was cooking it. It could use, my mouse is not connecting. It could use some like, it's missing something. I can't really put my finger on what, but I mean, I'm still gonna eat it because it's still food. But if I were to make it again, I'd make it differently. Wow, it's gonna get cold. We went over to our friend's house. I haven't seen the two of them together in a long time, and it was really just like, I don't know. You know, like you have those certain kind of people that just sort of fill up a part of your heart? They do that for me. That was a really good afternoon, and I'm gonna put some headphones in, and I'm gonna write for a little bit. Best day I've had in a really long time. That's not true. We've had some really nice days during the holiday, but like, I mean, as far as like taking care of myself is concerned and how I feel emotionally, it's been a good day. So if you've been struggling lately, I would highly encourage, take the whole New Year bit out of it. I would highly encourage you to make a list of things that you just want to do more of, and then make it a point to do those things. And they don't have to be huge things. They don't have to be groundbreaking. They don't have to cost you a ton of money. But just make a list of things that you know you enjoy doing and then just make a point to do it. Like, It seems so simple, and it is so simple, but you know we forget to do it. We just don't do it. We don't make those things a priority. We don't make ourselves a priority. Like, I feel like my shoulders are like deflated. Anyway, I'm gonna end the vlog here because my battery is flashing. I'm gonna go ahead and read, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night.